I know your anticipation is like, how do we use all this to actually create a report, dashboard, or whatever? So we are right there. So now we're done with this, relationship of a thing, and I believe you understood what we have done right here. So what we can do next right now is for we to make sure we create pivot table with this. So if I go to diagram view, you'll see this. It doesn't really matter where you are. So you're going to see where you have this pivot table right here. So if I go ahead now and just click on this, you can see what I have. I have pivot table, pivot chart, chart and table and stuff like that. So when you create a pivot table, you can create all this from the pivot table you're going to create. So don't bother about anything that has to do with those ones here. Just go ahead and click on this and create your pivot table. So you can create a pivot table here, and you can create a pivot table on the sheet. I'm going to show you everything. So I'm going to click on this now. So now it's telling me to actually get this to a particular location in the workbook. So do I want the new worksheet or an existing worksheet? I'm going to go with the new worksheet. So here we are. So as you can see, we have this to be all, and we have this to be active. Under active, there is nothing actually on it right now because we've not actually make any use of those tables right here. I want to show you something quickly. If I go back now to this part here, I have a data here. I want to actually create a pivot table with this data. As you can see, automatically, pivot table, we're able to actually surround my data for me. Okay, I'm going to just go ahead and say existing. I'll go right here and I'll paste my second pivot table to be here. There you go. What I just want to show you is the difference between this pivot table and this one here. So they are both pivot table, but what is the difference? So if I click on this pivot table, you can see this is the one we created from our Power Pivot. So what you see is tables, and inside the tables you see columns, right, when you open them up. And when you click on this one, what you see is actually just columns sitting in a single table. Now, on default Excel worksheet, you cannot import different tables at the same time into a pivot table. You can only import one single table into a pivot table at a time. But with Power Pivot, you'll be able to actually create relationship using it during the modeling. We did that, and actually bring together all those tables you've connected together, and this is exactly what you're going to have. Another thing you need to know about this is that if you want to create a pivot table, and let's say, for example, this does not exist, I'm going to get it away from here. So we just seen the difference between this and this. I'm going to delete this away from here. So which means we don't have any, I don't need this data as well. I can guess, okay, we're going to keep this data to illustrate to you on that thing. So I'm going to come here now. I want to create a pivot table here. So I don't want to go to my Power Pivot or the modeling area. So I'll just go here and click on insert. Then I'll just click on this. So right now what you see is this. If you feel like you want to drop it down and click on OK, nothing happens. So this command requires at least 2 rows of source data, so which means it's not any data. So this is just the traditional way of creating normal pivot table. And if you do this way now, it's going to be thinking you have data sitting in the worksheet and there is no data. So for you to create your pivot table with the data you have in your model or in your Power Pivot, what you need to do is just to make sure you click here, and you can see from table range, from external data source like online, Azure, SQL, whatever. But this one now we have data in our Power Pivot or data model. So when you click on this now, here you go, you can see it has picked it. So the next thing you do is to actually, okay, if you want existing worksheet, you can just click right here and click on OK. Now we have all our tables right here. Can you see it now? So this is how you create a pivot table from here without you going to the Power Pivot or data model. Okay, and that's now what I want to show you now is how you can move data that is in the worksheet into the Power Pivot. So all you can do now is just to make sure you highlight your data. Once you've done that, you go right here and you go to insert and click on pivot table. So once you click on pivot table, you are not trying to create a pivot table with this particular data you have right here. Instead, what you're trying to do is to actually move this one to the Power Pivot or data model. So to do that now, just click on add this data to data model. So once you click on it, you can just go ahead and click on OK and just give it some time. Now we have it here. Can you see it? So we have it as a range because the table was not named. So we have it as a range under active. So actually we don't need this table. We are going to have to go ahead and remove it. And where can we do that? You can do Ctrl+Z to take it back, and it's going to get off from the Power Pivot and come back to your sheet. Or you can actually go directly and actually have it truncated from there, and that is exactly what it is. So I hope this particular explanation I've just done now would definitely help you as soon as you keep creating, dashboard reports using this method of getting your table in Power Pivot.